Hi, Maria. I'm great. How are you?
I'm fine. Tell us, where are you? Tell us few words about the place you are and where it's located.
So I'm at an artist residency in Australia, more specifically the institution called BigCi. It's Bilpin International Ground for Creative Initiatives. It's 1.5 hours west of Sydney, and we are located in a natural environment. So it's really on the edge of Bourbou National Park, which is UNESCO World Heritage, and it's a huge untouched wilderness area that's on the doorstep of the studio, basically. And on a broader perspective, it's in New South Wales. And it's a very different environment to what I'm used to in Europe and Luxembourg. And I've loved it so far.
There are other artists as well in this residency, different nationalities as well.
Yeah, so the setup is that there's usually 3 or 4 artists working at the same time. And I have been working with 6 different artists so far. So it's been very mixed nationality. So Japan, Colombia, Australian artists as well, Italy, Slovakia, I think that's all. And all from very different fields as well. So my painting perspective it's been quite refreshing to have it confronted with artists working in completely different mediums. So there was performance artists, there was people doing more a mix of installation, photography, drawing. It's really been quite unique. The last 2 weeks, there was a blind artist working here. And yeah, so it's a very different mashup of positions and nationalities here. For sure.
You have the opportunity to exchange information or talking about techniques.
It happens in an organic way that we all work in the same space and then see what everyone's doing, see everyone's work evolving and growing. I love that atmosphere. It's very different from working alone in a studio with solitary and very focused. It's focused here as well, especially because it's such a remote area. But due to the fact that we all work in the same space, it's a very, very nice exchange indeed.
You started working when? I mean, since you are there for how long?
I've been here for in total, it's 2.5 months, my stay here. So the setup of the residency is that it's 4-week period. You have an open day at the end of it. So that's an exhibition showcasing work over the past 4 weeks. So we send with 3 or 4 people that have been working here. It's never more than 4. And I've had my first open day in August. Yes, after 4 weeks. And then the second one is coming up beginning of October. So there's 2 exhibition opportunities as well. And that kind of set a little bit of a block during my residency. So it was 8 weeks in total of working here in the studio. But since I had the open days, I kind of wrapped up a more or less finished body of work for each open day. Well, the second one's still coming up. I'm still working on that one. But it's a valuable opportunity as well, in Spain to show the progress and share it with the public. And the public that's been coming here is, it was very refreshing because it's you have to be a little bit devoted to come here. It's very remote. You have to be willing to drive 1.5 hours from Sydney. It's less there's no spontaneous people coming here. So there were a lot of people who really wanted to come, and then also just local people from the end here. And it's been a very, very good experience because people are curious and they ask good questions, and it's always a nice challenge to expose yourself to a crowd that doesn't know your work yet. So if you're always working in your home network, people already know what you are doing, and it's very different to get into a phase where people haven't seen all of your work yet and have a blank, a clean slate to present what you're working on. Yeah, that's been great.
Discovering in a way the nature, the culture of the country, so that has an influence directly in your work. I mean, now create you, yeah. Tell us a little.
Yes, it's definitely had an influence. So the first pieces that I created were a little more. I did more like storytelling work, where I included more figurative references again, which I've been sort of doing less in the past year. But since the influences here were so dense and so various, I kind of wanted to be very deliberate about it. So my work got a little bit more figurative, and I included a mix of natural and urban references into my pieces. So the glass Sydney, which is a little bit over an hour drive, and I told the Paul very busy, and then absolute untouched wilderness over here is something that's very mind-blowing to me. And this contrast is incorporated in three first works that I made so far. So there are references of art history filming from exhibitions that I've seen in Sydney. There are references from the local flora, from the local fauna. Also, another topic that I found extremely interesting is conservation. And it's somehow also the element that links art, nature, and history. So you have conservation issues in art history, and there's interesting conversations to be had about how to concern or perceive art and how to make it accessible to the public. And you have issues of conservation in nature and in the fauna as well. There's many species of animals and of plants that are endangered here. And I've sampled in many different references in the paintings. So it's a really dense referential system of different topics that you can find in those pieces that I made here.
Did you add something in your technique?
In addition to the oil paint that I always use, that's been my go-to technique, I started doing cyanotypes here. That was a way for me to document the local flora without leaving traces on the terrain. There's especially if I want to talk about conservation, if I want to talk about endangered plants, I cannot pick them. So the cyanotypes were a very good way for me to, on one side, reference indigenous art making without being disrespectful, because I didn't want to copy anything. I don't think that's my place to copy something that I didn't see. But I think to be inspired by the ways that they were doing their drawings or their paintings or what they were depicting, to reference that in a more subtle way was something that was okay for me to do. So I've started doing cyanotype with local botany, and in a way that's at the same time a reference to indigenous art, because I started doing cyanotypes of my food, which is a technique that's common for indigenous art. They put their hands or tools on the wall and then use animal protein, natural pigments, spit them onto the tool of the hands. The tool and hands, but via cyanotypes, are also integrated in my work now. So I started doing them as a collaborative project with 2 artists of my first term, and then I deepened it further, and now I'm doing them on textile and cutting them, sewing them into the painting parts. So the paintings become a very dense deconstruction and reconstruction of oil painting, cyanotype, and painting surfaces as an individual.
And these are big dimensions, I suppose. So you create outside in the nature or inside your studio.
Yeah, so the cyanotypes kind of make a forcefully they ain't connection to nature because I have to create them outside.
Yeah,
which
is the light, isn't it?
Yes, exactly. Be it the light exposure, the sun exposure. And so it's a different way of working, and it's a way of working that's connecting me to the nature and the landscape here. It's something that I really enjoyed and I think makes a lot of sense given the terrain of the residency here. So the cyanotypes on textile, I connect them via sewing, and they become big, large-scale pieces, which in the typical in my work. So the works all have a format of 180 by 130 so far. I've created 3, almost 4 works now, and if everything goes according to plan, there will be 6 pieces at the end of the residency. So it's a 1-day exhibition, and it's from 11 to 4. It's a very intense day of exchanging, talking to one another, sharing food, talking about the work. So it's a really grounding experience to be so reflective of the work as well during an artist residency. So it's a very intense period that's I am like my research is on production, so I really drive from analyzing visually what I'm doing and then reflecting on it, creating the next piece, and then it gets denser and deeper once I work more. So it's like an obsession kind of, and of course in a residency context, this can get super intense because we also stay in this building, so I cannot continue doing it the same way once I get home. I cannot do cyanotypes of the local plants anymore. I can still be influenced by it, but I'm very eager to make the most of my time here in terms of producing and reflecting the work.
I guess you found your rhythm very well there, so you like
Yeah, I very much like being here. My time here has been early rises and early sleep. Because I'm so reliant on natural light here, and I came here in wintertime, so that meant that there was sunlight from 6:30 a.m. in the beginning until 5. So I was in the studio every day at 6:30 in order to have the most of the daylight, and it was cold. So
you tend to discover more the country once the residency will finish. Do you tend to travel a little bit more?
So the main way of discovering the country here is through the bushwalk that we are doing in the Watermine National Park and in Gardens of Stone. So like the Marienbaum is one part of that area that we discovered very recently. So those bushwalks are really a way for me to, it's almost a meditative moment to be in nature, to think very passively and really think a lot about my work on these walks. And at the same time, it's a huge inspiration to get to know the country and to see the country. It's a huge terrain, and I have to say that I really only discovered a small part of it, but it's so rich in experiences. And I also did a 4-day bushwalking trip where we slept, actually without a tent, just with a sleeping bag in the national park. That was a truly mind-blowing experience. So Australia has really been such an absolutely amazing terrain to discover, and it's been a great influence on my work as well. So I truly appreciate it.